While Maine is a beautiful state filled with miles of rocky coastline and some of the most caring and tight-knit communities in the country, there are some definite negatives when it comes to calling Maine home. If you're seriously considering moving to Maine or just like learning about the state, you probably already know why Maine is one of the best places to live in the country. So in this video, as a local resident, I'm going to peel back the curtain and talk to you about the worst parts of living in Maine. But first, let me introduce myself. My name's Cam Avery, and I'm a local resident, real estate agent with the Avery Realty Group and Keller, and I'm getting calls all the time from you guys wanting to move here and know what it's really like to live here. And I feel like most people who have vacationed in Maine have this almost utopian idea of what it's like to live in Maine based on all the great times that they've had on their vacations. I know I personally felt that way when I moved to Maine about 13 years ago, but I've got to be honest with you, there are some definite drawbacks of living in Maine. So let's go ahead and dive into the video today. And if you appreciate a real estate agent who is willing to tell you why not to move to the state he works in, do me a favor and hit that like button. I know it's small, but it really helps me out, and thank you so much for doing so. One of the worst things about living in Maine is dealing with the black flies, ticks, and mosquitoes. Picture this, it's a beautiful sunny day in Maine, you're strolling through the woods, enjoying the fresh air, and then suddenly they appear. Black flies. These pesky little insects swarm around you, leaving itchy bites and making you question your life choices. They're relentless, and even bug spray seems to be no match for their determination. If you're a Mainer, you know the struggle all too well, and if you plan on living here, just know that we consider them our state bird, and the further north you go, it seems the bigger they get. Now, if black flies weren't enough, let's talk about ticks. Maine is notorious for its tick population, and these tiny creatures can be a real pain. With Lyme disease being a genuine concern, you always need to be on guard when venturing into wooded areas or tall grasses. Checking yourself for ticks becomes a part of your daily routine, and it's no fun finding those little critters latched onto your skin. And trust me, if you move to Maine and go outside in the summer months, you will find ticks on you. Finally, the soundtrack of summer in Maine would not be complete without the buzzing of mosquitoes in your ears. These blood-sucking pests seem to be everywhere, and they're almost always on the lookout for their next meal. No outdoor activity is safe from their persistent presence. Whether you're camping, hiking, or simply trying to enjoy a backyard barbecue, you'll find yourself swatting and scratching your way through the season. Now let me say that there are solutions to treat your yard for ticks and mosquitoes, both organically and with pesticide, that have proven to be quite effective. We have two little kids who love to play in our backyard, which has a small pond in it, which is literally a breeding ground for mosquitoes and ticks. And so we decided to have our yard treated, and it's literally been life-changing. We can go outside without bug spray, not have to worry about getting bitten or have ticks crawling on us. I would highly recommend it if you're planning on moving here and concerned about dealing with the bugs. I wanted to let you know that if you are seriously considering moving to Maine, make sure to hit that subscribe button, because that's what this channel is all about. And we actually created a complete relocation guide to moving to Maine, which you can download totally for free just by clicking the link right in the description below. Another negative part about living in Maine is that during the best months of the year to live here, the state is flooded with tourists. Now, don't get me wrong, we love tourists. After all, they bring life and vitality to Maine's economy, but let's face it, when you're living in a popular tourist destination, dealing with the influx of visitors can sometimes be a headache. Traffic congested, crowded attractions, and long lines at your favorite lobster shack can test the patience of even the most easygoing Mainer. It's a delicate balance between welcoming tourists and preserving your own peace of mind. I can tell you personally that I used to think that living in a tourist destination was the coolest thing ever, but as the years go by, I've begun to dread the influx of out-of-state license plates and instead prefer the spring and fall months when the weather is still nice, but there aren't as many tourists around. I know you may be thinking that will never happen to me, but trust me, it will. And if you're serious about moving here, make sure that you consider this as a real negative of living here. Of course, I guess that's a price you have to pay for being surrounded by such natural beauty that hundreds of thousands of people are willing to spend thousands of dollars a year just to visit. Last but not least, we can't talk about the worst parts of living in Maine without mentioning mud season, or as you probably refer to it, springtime. As winter gives way to spring, the melting snow creates a muddy mess that seems to cover every inch of the state. It's like a never-ending obstacle course where walking becomes a game of trying to keep your shoes clean, driving on muddy roads becomes a slippery challenge, and the sight of mud being tracked into your home becomes all too familiar. So there you have it, the worst parts of living in Maine: black flies, ticks, mosquitoes, tourists, and mud season. But hey, let's not forget that Maine also offers breathtaking scenery, friendly communities, and incredible seafood that I think more than make up for these challenges. And if you're serious about moving here, make sure to watch this video right here, right here somewhere, that tells you things that no one is going to tell you when it comes to living in Maine.